The city had never seen a blaze like this. It was a towering inferno engulfing one of the most luxurious high-rises. A building that once stood as a symbol of power and prestige, now reduced to a burning death trap. The fire raged with an unrelenting fury, swallowing everything in its path, sending thick black smoke billowing into the sky. Inside, trapped between the roaring flames and crumbling debris, were dozens of people, residents, office workers and staff screaming for help, their voices lost in the chaos of sirens and crackling fire. Among them was Eleanor Hastings, a renowned journalist who had just uncovered a major corruption scandal involving some of the most powerful figures in the country. She had planned to release her findings the following day, unaware that this fire might not be an accident. Captain Daniel Carter, a seasoned firefighter with 2 decades of experience, stood outside the inferno, his heart pounding as he took in the devastation. He had been placed on suspension pending an internal investigation due to a previous risky decision that had cost his department dearly. But in that moment, as he saw people desperately waving from the windows, he knew he couldn't just stand there. His team was inside, battling the beast, but they were overwhelmed. There were still people trapped, and time was running out. Ignoring the shouts from his superiors, Daniel grabbed his gear and sprinted toward the entrance, vanishing into the hellish abyss. The moment he stepped inside, the suffocating heat wrapped around him like a vice, threatening to consume him. The air was thick with smoke, making it nearly impossible to see. Flames danced across the walls, licking at the wooden beams, sending embers raining down like burning snow. His radio crackled with frantic voices from his team, but he had to focus. The floor beneath him groaned, threatening to give way at any moment. He had to move fast. He climbed the stairs, dodging falling debris, his muscles straining as he pushed forward. He heard cries for help echoing from a conference room. With his axe, he smashed through the door, revealing a group of terrified office workers huddled together. "Follow me. Stay low. Stay together," he commanded, leading them through the suffocating smoke. The building trembled, groaning under the intense heat. He shielded them as chunks of ceiling collapsed around them. Time was running out. Meanwhile, Eleanor struggled to breathe, her lungs burning from the smoke. She knew she had to move, but her legs felt like lead. She stumbled through the haze, her vision blurring. She had sent copies of her report to a trusted source, but if she didn't make it out, the truth might die with her. Just as she thought all hope was lost, a silhouette appeared through the smoke. Daniel. "Can you walk?" he asked urgently. She nodded weakly and he hoisted her onto his back, carrying her through the inferno as the walls groaned in protest. Outside, Chief Reynolds paced anxiously. "Damn it," Carter went in. "If he doesn't make it out, it's on me." The department was on edge. Time was against them, and they knew it. Suddenly, a section of the building gave way, sending a shower of sparks into the street. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Had Daniel made it out? As the smoke cleared, a figure emerged, charred, battered, but standing. Daniel staggered forward, Eleanor clinging to him, barely conscious. The crowd erupted in cheers, but the moment was short-lived. A masked figure lurking in the shadows of the crowd whispered into a phone, "She survived. We need to handle this another way." The fire had been just the beginning. Now, the real danger was about to begin. Just as Daniel reached the paramedics, Eleanor gasped. "Daniel, we have to run. They did this." Before he could react, a sudden explosion rocked the weakened structure. The remaining portion of the high-rise collapsed, sending a wave of dust and debris over the emergency responders. Daniel shielded Eleanor, dragging her behind a fire truck as rubble pelted the ground. "What the hell was that?" Chief Reynolds barked into his radio, but there was no response. The comms had gone dark. More sirens wailed in the distance, but something felt wrong. This wasn't just a fire. It was a message. As paramedics rushed to tend to Eleanor, Daniel took a step back, scanning the chaotic scene. His gut told him they weren't safe. His eyes landed on a black SUV idling near the barricades. Tinted windows, no visible markings. Someone was watching. Then the SUV peeled off, disappearing into the night. Eleanor, still weak, grabbed Daniel's arm. "They're not done. They wanted me dead. This firefight wasn't random. It was them." "Who?" Daniel asked, but before she could answer, another explosion in the distance lit up the night sky. It wasn't over. It was just beginning. Daniel's mind raced. He had just walked into something far beyond a routine rescue. This was targeted, deliberate, and he and Eleanor were right in the middle of it. The sirens blared, but he barely heard them. His instincts screamed at him to get Eleanor out of there. He turned toward Chief Reynolds, but the look on the chief's face told him everything. There were too many moving parts, too many unknowns. Then another sound cut through the air, a sharp crack, a gunshot. People screamed and ducked. Daniel reacted instantly, throwing himself over Eleanor as the bullet ricocheted. Off the fire truck behind them, chaos erupted. Officers scrambled, drawing their weapons, but the shooter had already melted into the crowd. Daniel pulled Eleanor to her feet. "We need to go. Now." "Where?" she asked, coughing. "Somewhere safe. Anywhere but here." They barely made it around the side of the fire truck before another gunshot rang out, shattering a nearby windshield. Whoever was after Eleanor wasn't giving up easily. Daniel yanked open the door of an abandoned ambulance and pulled her inside. "Stay down," he ordered, slamming the door behind them. Through the cracked windshield, he saw the masked figure, again, standing just beyond the barricades, watching, waiting. Daniel clenched his jaw. Whoever these people were, they had just declared war, and he wasn't about to lose. The ambulance roared to life, and Daniel tore through the congested streets, sirens wailing in the background. Eleanor clutched at her chest, trying to steady her breathing. "We need to find out who did this," she whispered. Daniel nodded, gripping the wheel tightly. "First, we survive the night." But deep down, he knew this wasn't going to end easily. The deeper they dug, the deadlier it would get. A masked figure stepped out of the SUV, scanning the crowd. Daniel kept a firm grip on Eleanor, guiding her toward a subway entrance. "Down," he ordered, taking the stairs two at a time. The station was dimly lit, the last train of the night about to depart. They dashed onto the train just as the doors slid shut. Daniel pressed against the window, watching as their pursuers reached the platform too late. For now. Eleanor exhaled shakily. That was close. Too close, Daniel muttered. He knew they needed a plan. The fire wasn't an accident, and now it was clear they were meant to die in it. "We need to find out who's behind this." "I have something," Eleanor admitted, pulling a small flash drive from her pocket. "This is what they wanted to destroy." Daniel took it, his expression grim. "Then we need to get somewhere safe." But nowhere in the city felt safe anymore. The train rattled through the tunnels, the dim lights flickering. Eleanor's grip tightened around Daniel's arm. If they set fire to a building just to get rid of me, imagine what else they're capable of. Daniel met her gaze, his jaw set. "Then we make sure they don't get away with it." The train screeched to a halt at the next station. Daniel led Eleanor out, keeping a wary eye on their surroundings. The streets were quieter here, but danger lurked in every shadow. They needed allies. "I know someone," Daniel said finally. "An old friend. If anyone can help us disappear for a while, it's him." Eleanor nodded. They had no other choice. As they walked into the night, a figure watched from a rooftop, a phone pressed to his ear. "They're still alive," he murmured. "Not for long." The night was far from over, and the hunt had only just begun. Daniel and Eleanor moved cautiously through the narrow streets, staying in the shadows, avoiding the glare of streetlights. Every sound felt amplified in the stillness of the night. The weight of the flash drive in Eleanor's pocket was a reminder that they carried something dangerous, something people were willing to kill for. A distant siren wailed, followed by the hum of approaching engines. They had to keep moving. Daniel led her down a deserted alleyway, his grip firm around her wrist. "We can't stop," he whispered. "They'll be looking for us everywhere." Eleanor swallowed hard, her body aching from exhaustion. "Where are we going?" "Somewhere they won't think to look," Daniel replied. His contact, an ex-cop named Carter, owed him a favor, and if anyone could hide them, it was him. They navigated the maze of streets until they reached an old warehouse district, the buildings looming like silent sentinels in the night. Daniel rapped on a metal door in a distinct pattern. A small peephole slid open. "Who the hell is it?" came a gruff voice. "It's me," Daniel answered. A pause, then the sound of multiple locks clicking open. The door swung inward, revealing Carter, a burly man with a scar running down his cheek. He glanced at Eleanor before stepping aside. "Get in, fast." The door shut behind them with a heavy thud. "What kind of trouble are you in?" Carter asked, crossing his arms. "The deadly kind," Daniel admitted. Eleanor pulled out the flash drive. "This is what they're after." Carter's gaze hardened. "Then you're in deeper than you think, and they won't stop coming until you're both dead." Outside, the wind howled through the empty streets, but Daniel knew the silence wouldn't last. The enemy was methodical, relentless, and had deep connections in places they didn't even know existed. Carter led them through a maze of old equipment, past rusted machinery and dimly lit corridors, before stopping in front of a hidden trapdoor. "Down here," he instructed. "It's not much, but it's safe." Daniel helped Eleanor down, the space below opening into a concealed bunker. The walls were lined with weapons, emergency supplies, and outdated but functional surveillance equipment. "How long can we stay?" Eleanor asked, lowering herself onto a crate, exhaustion settling in. "Not long," Carter said. "They'll figure out you came here eventually. You need a way out of the city." Daniel ran a hand through his hair. "Do you know someone?" "I know a guy," Carter admitted, "but he's expensive and dangerous. We don't have a choice," Daniel said firmly. Carter nodded. "Fine. But if this goes south, you're on your own." Outside, headlights appeared in the distance. The hunt wasn't over. It was only just beginning.